Photo ತಗೊಂಡು. ಸಾಮಾನ್ ತರ್ಕೊ.
Sunil sir, ಯಾವ್ದೋ ಡಿಸ್ಟರ್ಬೆನ್ಸ್ ನೋಡಿ. ಹಲೋ ಸುನಿಲ್ ಸರ್. ಸುನಿಲ್ ಸರ್ ಯಾವ್ದೋ ಮ್ಯೂಟ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದು, ಡಿಸ್ಟರ್ಬೆನ್ಸ್ ಇದೆ.
ಸುನಿಲ್ ಸರ್ ಶುರು ಮಾಡಿ.
ಇಲ್ಲ ಸರ್, ಸ್ಟಾರ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡಿ.
Good morning everyone. A warm welcome to you all to this webinar on the topic Professional Ethics and Values, organized by IKSC, APS Arts and Science College. I am Dr. Tilak Kumar BS, Physical Education Director, Department of Physical Education, APS Arts and Science College. Ethics play a key role in every education's life. As it's likely stated, ethics is knowing the difference between what you have the right to do and what is the right thing to do. I would like to request Dr. Ganesha K, Assistant Professor from the Department of Postgraduate Studies in Economics, to welcome you all. Over to Ramesh, sir. Ramesh, sir.
Tilak sir, please continue.
I think Ramesh sir might be out of line. On behalf of APS Arts and Science College and APS Education Trust, I would like to welcome today's speaker, Dr. H.S. Ganesh Bhatta, for his wonderful presentation, what we are going to have for coming session. Now I request Sona Bai Madam, Assistant Professor, Department of Chemistry, to give a brief introduction of today's speaker.
Thank you, sir. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to today's session. Now, I would like to introduce today's presenter, Dr. H.S. Ganesh Bhatta. Dr. H.S. Ganesh Bhatta, former principal of MES Teachers College, Director Academics, Mysore Education Society. Dr. H.S. Ganesh Bhatta Born in 1957, at Bellavadi, Chikmagaluru district, presently working as consultant in school development MES institutions, Malleshwaram. Director Academic for MEC Group of Institutions, as Academic Advisor for Soundarya Institutions, and as a counselor for career builders. He completed his BSc, B.Ed and M.Ed from the Bangalore University, pursued his PhD in education from University of Mysore and MA in sociology from Karnataka University. He has worked as lecturer, reader, associate professor, principal, administrator, researcher in MES Teachers College, and also worked in Sri Kumaran Children's Home and Bengaluru Higher Secondary School. He has taught for the courses like B.Ed, M.Ed, MA Education, MA Sociology, PGDS LM, and at higher primary and secondary level. 8 scholars have procured MPhil degree and 5 scholars have obtained doctoral under his guidance of Bangalore, Mysore, Alagappa, Annamalai, IGNOU universities. Also guided over 500 dissertation project works for postgraduate students of the different universities like Mysore, IGNOU, KSU, and Bangalore University. He has worked as custodian for B.Ed examination of Bangalore University, squad chief for practical examination, board member as a chief superintendent for Comet K examination, as a reviewer for PhD proposal and projects. He has participated in more than 30 seminars, workshops, conferences, and published more than 45 papers and 42 articles in different journals. And worked as invited lecturer for Christ University, Azim Premji University, IGNOU, KSOU, and Tumkur University. He has served for Sarva Shikshana Abhiyana and Rashtriya Madhyamika Shikshana Yoga as a resource person, chief editor, advisor committee member, chairperson, researcher, principal, investigator, member academic council, and as a course designer. He was a member of selection committee, team leader, reviewer, expert, teacher, selection committee member, and mentor for students of Mysore University. Member governing council, consultant, chairman, chief editor, and advisor for NAC visits. He is a lifetime member in various institutions like Bharatiya Shikshana Mandal, New Delhi, Bharat Scouts and Guides, Science Campus Bangalore, and Council for Teacher Education, Punjab. And he is an awardee of Glory of Education Excellence, Bharatiya Jyoti Award, Star of Asia Award, Best Educationist Award, Dr. Radhakrishna Shikshana Ratna National Award, and so on. He has donated blood, that is B positive, over 50 times to the patients, those in need of blood through contacts, conducted literacy campaigns, awareness programs, and also helped students to procure from his personal library. And he has donated books, money, materials, food to orphanage, students, and to various NGOs. Sir, we are very happy to have you as a resource person to this webinar. I once again welcome you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, madam. Thank you for the detailed introduction. Now, I would like to request today's resource person, Dr. H.S. Ganesh Bhatta, sir, to start his presentation. Sir, over to you, sir.
Thank you very much for the whole group of APS faculty. Your institution is not new to me. When I was a boy in high school, studying in RV Boys High School, I had come for the debate competition conducted by the APS High School. And the APS Arts, Science, Commerce College, which is there in NR Colony, I had come as a participant for the debate competition conducted by the degree college. And my brother, Dr. H.S. Nagabhushana Bhatta, was the Sanskrit faculty in our esteemed institution. I know of Sri Padmanabhan and many other great teachers who are from the APS group. I, first of all, before my presentation, would like to thank the principal and the management of the APS for giving me an opportunity to have a kind of an interaction with the esteemed faculty of the Achar Parshala group of institutions. Now, at the outset, Sri Lokesh connected me to you people, and Sri B.S. Tilak Kumar, who is moderating this particular program. You are doing a wonderful job, sir. And the teacher, Sona, who introduced me, I thank you very much. Now, to begin with, why this professional ethics and values for teachers is a question that quite often comes whenever we speak of the values and ethics in the field of education, especially in the educational institutions. Now, one of the strong reasons for this is you have got in your accreditation process of the NAC, there is the institutional accreditation, the manual for self-study report affiliated to the constituent colleges, where there is criteria 7, which speaks of the inclusion and situatedness, and it is the key factor in institutional values and best practices carrying 100 units of assessment. The key indicators over there are institutional values and social responsibilities. The gender equity is there, which is a measure initiated by the institution for promotion of the gender equity. Now, the very word gender needs to be understood by all the people, not only the teachers, but also the social workers, the community workers. Gender does not relate to the concept of the sex. Sex is related to the birth. We are born either as a male or a female, but the society treats us in terms of the gender disparity. In the concept of the gender, a man can become a woman can become a man. What do I mean by this? There are certain works that are to be done only by the man and not to be done by the women. This is a discrimination. If you want to give a simple example like horse riding, in the past it was said that women shall not ride the horse. But today that is gone. Therefore, it is one step towards the gender equity. There were also certain concepts like the conductor, the driver of the KSRTC or the auto rickshaw or the taxi. A driver shall not be a lady. But today we have the very, very good lady efficient drivers who really ride the auto, the taxi, and also they have become the drivers and the conductors in the bus. We are one step towards the gender equity. I can give you hundreds of examples for the gender equity, but the question here is, what is that the APS is doing? What is that the MES is doing? What is the Bangalore Central University doing? What is University of Mysore doing in order to have this concept of gender equity? Then it relates to 7.1.2, 7.1.3, 7.1.4, up to 7.1.7, environmental consciousness related to rainwater harvesting, the green of the plant, all these kinds of issues. 7.1.8 relates to the inclusion and situatedness. Now here, every word becomes very important. The words that are included in the manual is inclusiveness, cultural, regional, linguistic, communal, and socio-economic diversities. I tell you, 1 hours of lectures, hours of brainstorming can happen for each of the component that is introduced. What is inclusiveness? How do you include a physically disabled individual or a physically challenged individual in the APS institution? That is what is inclusiveness. Are you giving opportunity for the students who come from the lower background in terms of the low economic status or low socio-economic status? What is the representation of the students in your institution in terms of the assembly that is constituted or the classroom representation that is being done? What is the kind of the leadership role that is being provided to them? Every concepts come to what is called the inclusion. Supposing the APS group of institutions have the students coming from the Northeast region or Hyderabad, Karnataka region, or say Jammu Kashmir or Kerala, what is the representation that is given to these students who come from the other states and other regions? For all these kinds of concepts will come under inclusion. Now I go back to the Constitution of India, where the preamble of the Constitution says, we are sovereign, democratic republic. These are the 3 concepts that were used in the year 1949 when the Constitution was put into the assembly and accepted on January 26 on 1950. But the Constitution has gone several amendments, and the 42nd Constitution amendment to the Constitution is the most important one as far as the present day is concerned. It introduced the sovereign democratic republic along with socialist secular were the 2 important components that were introduced. Therefore, the 42nd Amendment is considered as a mini constitution. Now, what is that these constitutions say? They say about justice, which is social, economic, political, liberty of thought, expression, belief, faith, and worship. I remember in your institution when the debate was conducted, there were all the old portraits of the APS institution which were displayed over there. The talk of the debate on that day when I had come sometime in 1980s was ದೇವರಿಲ್ಲ. ಈ ಕಾನ್ಸೆಪ್ಟಿನ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಒಂದು ದೊಡ್ಡ ಚರ್ಚೆ ಆಗಿತ್ತು ಅವತ್ತು. ಅವತ್ತು ಕೆಲವರು ಯಾರು ದೇವರಿಲ್ಲ ಅಂತ ವಾದ ಮಾಡೋದಕ್ಕೆ ಆ ಜಾಗಕ್ಕೆ ಬಂದಿದ್ರು, ಅವರು ಹೋಗಿ ದೇವರ ದೀಪವನ್ನ ನಂದಿಸಿ ಬಿಟ್ಟಿದ್ರು ಮಾತಾಡೋದಕ್ಕೆ ಮುಂಚೆ. ಅದು ಸರಿನಾ, ಅದು ತಪ್ಪಾ? ದೊಡ್ಡ ಚರ್ಚೆ ಆಯಿತು ಅವತ್ತಿನ ದಿವಸ. ಅದರಿಂದ ವರ್ಷಿಪ್ ಅನ್ನೋದು ಏನಿದೆ, ಫೇತ್ ಅನ್ನೋದು ಏನಿದೆ, ಇದಕ್ಕೆ ಎಷ್ಟರ ಮಟ್ಟಿಗೆ ವಿ ಆರ್ ರಿಯಲಿ ಲಿಬರಲ್ ಇನ್ ಡೂಯಿಂಗ್ ಇಟ್ ಅಂತ ಇದು ಕಾನ್ಸ್ಟಿಟ್ಯೂಷನ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಬರುತ್ತೆ. ಇದಕ್ಕೆ ಸಂಬಂಧಪಟ್ಟ ಹಾಗೆ ವಾಟ್ ಈಸ್ ದ ಕೋಡ್ ಆಫ್ ಎಥಿಕ್ಸ್ ದಟ್ ದಿ APS ಗ್ರೂಪ್ ಆಫ್ ಇನ್ಸ್ಟಿಟ್ಯೂಷನ್ ಹ್ಯಾಸ್ ಅನ್ನತಕ್ಕಂಥದ್ದು ನಮ್ಮ ಕ್ರೈಟೀರಿಯಾದಲ್ಲಿ ಬರುತ್ತೆ. ಅದೇ ರೀತಿ ಈಕ್ವಾಲಿಟಿ ಆಫ್ ಸ್ಟೇಟಸ್ ಅಂಡ್ ಆಪರ್ಚುನಿಟಿ and to promote among them all, this is very, very important, the fraternity, which is called the brotherhood. In order to see that the India is going to be a united country. Now, when I speak of this as the background to the talk, ethics, the significance of code of professional ethics for the staff in the higher education institutions will be the topic for the day. Anyhow, I have already shared the slide with you. You can certainly make use of it for your purpose. Now, I am not going to say everything that is being written in the slide. I do skip some of the slides because they are self-explanatory. Now, when Mr. Tilak Kumar was talking about the whole issue, he said ethics basically deals with the moral, that is the good or the bad. Now, it is the human conduct and of the rules and principles that ought to govern it and indicate. Now, it is a general statement, but how do the institution, the APS, will define it is the criteria. Therefore, what are the kind of the rules and the principles that the institution as a whole has emerged? For what values and what rules do you give impetus? How is that your institution is different from the rest of the institutions? For that will take you to what is called the statement of the vision, which comes as a mission, then comes as the objectives. Therefore, what is good, what is bad, knowing it is the principle, and practicing what is good in the institution is what is called the ethics. Therefore, as a practical matter, ethics is about how we meet the challenge of doing the right thing, not the wrong thing. Then what is right? Very, very difficult to say. What is right? Go back to Constitution. What is right? Go back to Bible. What is right? Go back to Quran. What is right? Go back to Bhagavad Gita. There are so many treatises which will say these are the right things. Sthita pragnasya ka bhasha samadhis tasya keshava. You want to have a stabilized mind. That is what is the right. You must be able to control your senses and use the senses in a proper way. Not that the senses is to be 100% controlled. You use it for your purpose. But how do you use it? For this is a question of the right and the wrong that comes in the ethics. Next slide. Now, when I speak of the value, value refers to the desirability of a thing, often in respect of some property such as usefulness or exchangeability. Now, in the institution, how to take this concept? Whatever the lecture that I am delivering in the class, is it useful? And whatever the knowledge that I have shared with my colleague, can it be exchanged? Exchangeability means what is the degree to which you will be able to make impact on the knowledge that you have got with another individual. This knowledge may not be related to physics, may not be to chemistry, may not be to mathematics. It may be something that is related to the personal touch. Maybe, for example, doing some certain things on time, in time becomes an ethics. I use the word in time, on time. When you cannot do it in time, at least you must be able to do it on time. If you do it out of time, the ethics says it is not to be accepted. Therefore, can I submit after some days means, is there a permission for it? If the permission is not there and you are submitting it later, then you are not following the ethics. For that is the concept of usefulness or exchangeability. Fair exchange in return of a thing. Now we get the feedback from the students. The fair exchange. What is the return of a thing? I have delivered the lecture. I have made the student to understand. I have told what is the human potential. Whether the student is able to understand what is human potential and has he been using it. If he uses it, there is a fair exchange. Then moral principles and beliefs are accepted as standards. For the value refers to the moral principles and beliefs. For you believe on what? I believe in hard work. I believe in smart work. I believe in right type of valuation. Not only the valuation, I believe in right type of evaluation. For example, language teaching in the degree or the college. A student who finishes the language component in the degree college must be able to become a good communicator. He must be able to speak well. He must be able to write well. He must be able to exchange his points. If he does it, then I have been able to accept some sort of a standard in my college in making the students to learn the language. Not that they are going to answer in the examination. Answering in the examination, evaluating it is a part of giving a mark to the student to say, you stand with a grade A, grade B, grade C, etc., etc. But evaluation says whether every student is assessed on a day-to-day basis. If you happen to do it, then I say you have a moral obligation in training the students. Now, let us go to the next slide. Now, when we speak of the basics of ethics, I want you to focus your attention on the numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Now I have given there a positive focus and an excessive focus. The positive focus is the lower line that is indicated there. The excessive focus is written in the capital. I would like to make it very clear. For example, survival. When it comes to the survival, one, it is pursuit of educational outcome. Now, when it comes to survival, If you want to pursue the educational outcome, the positive focus will be financial soundness of the employee health. For to what extent the institution is taking care of its employees. I use the word employee here. It is not that it is a professor, an associate professor, an assistant professor, from the class 4 employee unto the top management individual. Now, relationship. Relationship refers to good communication between students, parents, and teachers. How do you communicate with the students? I'm also a teacher in a first grade college, like a B.Ed college. I was a teacher at the high school level. I know how difficult it is to properly communicate with the students. If I say something, the student takes it in another way. This is misinterpretation, miscommunication, wrong communication. Are you able to convey to the student what you want to say? Have you said it to him? This is communication. Supposing there is a proper communication, relationships are going to be strong in the institution. Now let us go to the next point, the self-esteem. This is very, very important. It is a basic thing. What is a self-esteem? To what extent do you accept yourself as a capable individual? Now, are we able to make the student understand you are good in Kannada, you are good in English, you are good in singing, you are good in dramatics, you are good in play, you are good in sports, you are good in games? Have I done it to my students? If I happen to do it, then I say, I have a great self-esteem in driving the student force. Therefore, it refers to productivity, efficiency, and the quality. Transformation needs to happen. The transformation can happen only when it is a continuous renewal. It is not possible otherwise. You cannot make the things happen if it is discontinuous. Therefore, in the school classes, we use the concept called continuous comprehensive evaluation. I know even in the degree college, we have got the internal assessment. For the internal assessment, if you want to get a better mark in the NAC, what is newness that you have introduced in your internal assessment? Is it that the university has said that you have to conduct one small test and give the marks to the test and enter that as the internal assessment? NAC will say it is not acceptable. It is done by all. Then what is that you have done for the internal assessment to see that you are going to say a student gets 18 out of 20? Is it different from 17 out of 20? Is he different from 11 out of 20? If he is different, what are the criterion on which the internal assessment has been done? His speaking ability, his neatness in coming, his attendance, his regularity, his participation in the co-curricular activities and extracurricular activities, all components from A to Z put together, the institution can define. You can take 5 different areas, or you can make it 6 different areas, or you can make 3 strong different areas of the student assessment and give the internal assessment to the student. For that helps you in continuous assessment. Then commitment and enthusiasm will add to what is called the internal cohesion. What is commitment and enthusiasm? We ask the students to come to the institution with enthusiasm. How far are we enthusiastic in receiving the students when they come to the college? How am I enthusiastic in committing myself for conducting a lecture? Am I enthusiastic in becoming a mentor? These are the questions that we need to ask. For if that enthusiasm is there with a strong commitment, the internal cohesion of the colleagues in the institution will go to a top gear. When that happens, what is going to happen? You can make a difference. You see, in the NAC process, they say every institution need to be a different institution. That is the purpose of the NAC. The NAC is not interested in assessing it in 5 years. It says we do come and go, we give you some sort of a mark. But what do you do for the continuous 5 years? What do you do after the NAC visits and then leaves? ಒಂದು ನ್ಯಾಕಿನ ವಿಸಿಟ್ ಕೆಲವು ಸರಿ ಮದುವೆ ಮನೆ ಇದ್ದಾಗಿರುತ್ತೆ. ನಾನು ಅನೇಕ ಕಾಲೇಜುಗಳಿಗೆ ನ್ಯಾಕ್ ವಿಸಿಟರ್ ಆಗಿ ಹೋಗಿದ್ದೇನೆ. ನಾವು ಈಚೆಗಡೆ ಬರುವ ಹೊತ್ತಿಗೆನೆ ನಮಗೆ ಇನ್ಸ್ಟಿಟ್ಯೂಷನ್ ಅನ್ನ ಪೇಲ್ನೆಸ್ ಕಾಣೋದಕ್ಕೆ ಪ್ರಾರಂಭ ಆಗ್ಬಿಡುತ್ತೆ. ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಡೇಗೂ ಲಾಸ್ಟ್ ಡೇಗೂ ನ್ಯಾಕ್ ಇದನ್ನ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪೆಕ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡೋದಿಲ್ಲ. ನ್ಯಾಕ್ ಏನನ್ನ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪೆಕ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡುತ್ತೆ ಅಂದ್ರೆ, ಇವತ್ತು ನೀವೇನಾದ್ರೂ ಒಂದು ಒಳ್ಳೆಯದನ್ನ ಪ್ರಾರಂಭ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ ಇದನ್ನ ನಿಮ್ಮ ಜೊತೆಗೆ ಸಾಗಿಸಿಕೊಂಡು ಹೋಗ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀರಾ ಅಥವಾ ಯಾವುದೋ ಒಂದು ನದಿಯ ದಡದಲ್ಲಿ ಅದನ್ನ ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಬಿಡ್ತೀರಾ ಅಂತ ಕೇಳುತ್ತೆ. ಹಾಗೆ ಯೋಚನೆ ಮಾಡಿದಾಗ ಯಾವ ಯಾವ ಇನ್ಸ್ಟಿಟ್ಯೂಷನ್ಸು ಸ್ಟ್ರಾಟಜಿಕ್ ಅಲೈಯನ್ಸಸ್ ಅಂಡ್ ಪಾರ್ಟ್ನರ್ಶಿಪ್ ನ ಇಟ್ಕೊಂಡು ಕಮ್ಯುನಿಟಿ ಜೊತೆ ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾಡಿ ಎಂಪ್ಲಾಯಿಗೆ ಫುಲ್ಫಿಲ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಬರೋ ಹಾಗೆ ಮಾಡಿ ಪ್ಲೇಸ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಆಕ್ಟಿವಿಟೀಸ್ ನ ಸ್ಟ್ರಾಂಗ್ ಆಗಿ ಮಾಡಿರುತ್ತೆ, ಅವಾಗ that institution makes a difference. Now with this making a difference, the institution can go to the next higher level, which is called service orientation. Now in the service orientation, the college becomes socially responsible. What is socially responsible? Let me add one or two words here with the COVID-19 situation. Whether the APS institution has taken any initiative through the NSS volunteers or the NCC volunteers to make them as a part of the COVID warriors. If that is done, the service orientation of the institution is recognized over there. If it is not done, you can think of it doing it even now. Or during the interaction time, you can say, what was your positive focus and how did you come to reach the excessive focus? For this is the basic of ethics. Next. Now, when I think of the ethics, it is integrated with a lot of other issues. The honesty, the integrity, the respect that is shown. Now, respect shown to whom? Respect shown by the staff to the principal, respect shown by the principal to the management, respect shown by the teachers to the students, respect shown by the students to the teachers. I say every student in the college needs to be respected. We cannot take them as granted. Because if I respect the student community, in turn, the student community will respect you. For what is the kind of the interaction that is happening with the student and the teacher? Respect shown by the teacher with the office staff showing the respect to the teachers, so many things. Honesty in terms of discharge of our duties. Whatever the work that is assigned to me, to what extent am I accepting it? I know this is being done as a part of the IQAC, Internal Quality Assurance Cell. Now, I know how difficult it is to act as a coordinator for the IQAC. Now, all responsibility falls on him. Rest of the people need to make an assistance. What is the degree of the assistance given by each faculty member for the IQAC? IQAC is annual. It is not once in 5 years. 2021-22, what did we do? 22-23, what is that we are going to do? What is that we are going to do is to be taken approval in the governing council. If it is not done, we need to say, why is that it is not being done? Is it that your plan was high and you were not able to do it? Or is it that the human resource support was not very good? All these kinds of things need to be done. Then it becomes called, because ethics, what does it say? Ethics, right. What is wrong? Please do avoid the wrong. That is the concept there. Next slide. Next slide, please. Now, this I have already explained to you. I don't think I need to say it. Next one. Next. Now, ethics wheels around the following things. The rules and regulations expressed by the institution for both the students and the staff. What are the kind of the values that are going to take? Values are the human values, values are the values. On what value do you give an impression? Research. What is the research component in the educational institution? Research need not be a minor project or the major project prescribed by the University Grants Commission. It can be a research that is conducted by a language teacher who teaches Sanskrit, a language teacher who teaches Hindi, a language teacher who teaches Kannada. How many of our students were able to speak properly a Granthika Bhashe, Shishta Bhashe? ನಮ್ಮ ಶಾಲೆಗೆ ಬರಬೇಕಾದ್ರೆ, ಕಾಲೇಜಿಗೆ ಬರಬೇಕಾದ್ರೆ ವಿದ್ಯಾರ್ಥಿಗಳು ಅಲ್ಪ ಪ್ರಾಣ ಮಹಾಪ್ರಾಣಗಳನ್ನ ಪ್ರಾಣ ಕಳೆದುಕೊಂಡು ಮಾತಾಡ್ತಾ ಇರ್ತಾರೆ, ಬಹಳ ಕಷ್ಟಪಡ್ತಾ ಇರ್ತಾರೆ. ನಾನೊಬ್ಬ ಕನ್ನಡ ಉಪಾಧ್ಯಾಯಿನಿಯಾಗಿ ಎಷ್ಟು ವಿದ್ಯಾರ್ಥಿಗಳಿಗೆ ನಾನು ಕನ್ನಡ ಬೋಧನೆಯನ್ನ ಮಾಡುವುದರ ಮೂಲಕವಾಗಿ ಅವರ ಬರವಣಿಗೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ವ್ಯತ್ಯಾಸ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದೇನೆ, ಅವರ ಮಾತುಗಾರಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ವ್ಯತ್ಯಾಸ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದೇನೆ. ಇದೇನೇ ಒಂದು ರಿಸರ್ಚ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. Research can also be in terms of, say for example, in the commerce, in economics, we have got microeconomics and the macroeconomics. Now, what is the turnover of an individual who is selling some sort of a small pretty things like ಮಲ್ಲಿಗೆ ಹೂವು ಅಥವಾ ಸೇವಂತಿಗೆ ಹೂವನ್ನ ಮಾರಾಟ ಮಾಡುವ ಒಬ್ಬ ಮಾರಾಟಗಾರ್ತಿ ಇದ್ರೆ ಅವಳದ್ದು ಟರ್ನ್ ಓವರ್ ಏನಿದೆ, ಅವ್ರದ್ದು ಕಷ್ಟಗಳು ಏನಿದೆ, ಸುಖಗಳು ಏನಿದೆ, ಸೋಷಿಯಾಲಜಿ ಕಾಂಪೊನೆಂಟ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ಅವರು ಎಷ್ಟು ವಂಶ ಪಾರಂಪರ್ಯವಾಗಿ ಹೂವಿನ ಮಾರಾಟವನ್ನೇ ಮಾಡಿಕೊಂಡು ಬರ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ, ಆಂಥ್ರೋಪಾಲಜಿಕಲ್ ಸ್ಟಡೀಸ್ಗೆ ಹೋದಂಗೆ ಹೋಗುತ್ತೆ. ರಿಸರ್ಚ್ ಅನ್ನೋದು ನಾನು ಮಾಡೋದು ಅಷ್ಟೇ. ನಾನೇ ನನ್ನ ಮನಸ್ಸಿಗೆ ಒಂದು ಪ್ರಾಬ್ಲಮ್ ಹಾಕೊಳ್ಬೇಕು, ಅದ್ರ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ನಾನು ಯೋಚನೆ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಹೋಗ್ಬೇಕು. ಆಲ್ ರಿಸರ್ಚ್ ಡು ನಾಟ್ ನೀಡ್ ಮನಿ. ವಾಟ್ ಈಸ್ ನೀಡೆಡ್ ಬೈ ಟು ಡೂ ದ ರಿಸರ್ಚ್ ಈಸ್ ಎ ಮೈಂಡ್ ಟು ಡೂ ದ ರಿಸರ್ಚ್. Then moral principles, ethical practices, the rule of conduct, all these things put together makes what is called an ethics. Next. Now the same thing explained in terms of a small representation like a collage. Ethics refers to trust, deals with justice, it deals with a code, it deals with the philosophy. It is a kind of a decision that is made. It certainly characterizes an individual with lots of questions, because all that in his discourse he used to say to his devotees that what all I say, do not accept it. You question it and then accept it. And what is the kind of the choices the student is going to build? A choice may be to come to college, not to come to college, come to college to attend the class, not to attend the class. The other choice may be, along with my studies, can I take up any other work? Please understand, thousands of things are there related with the choices. Then a concern to the institution. How far our students feel that I am a product of the APS group of institution. A concern. As teachers who are working in the institution, what is the concern that you have got towards the institution itself? To what extent are you attached with your institution? That is a concern. And evil, we need to know about it, because we are not supposed to get into the activities which will get into the fold of the evil. So this is what is the concept of ethics. Next. And it's a beautiful statement. There is no right way to do a wrong thing. Similarly, there is no wrong way to do a right thing. Right thing is passing in the examination. What is the wrong way? All of you know about it. Does the institution encourage the malpractice? If it is done, you know, it becomes viral today. The institutions are recognized as institutions which will allow for the malpractice. Therefore, as educational institution, we need to tell the students that to do a right thing, there is always a right way. To do a wrong thing, there is always a wrong way. So this is the communication that we need to do to the students. Next. ನಮಗೆ ಇವಾಗ ಬೇಕಾಗಿರತಕ್ಕಂಥದ್ದು ಪ್ರೊಫೆಷನಲ್ ಎಥಿಕ್ಸ್. ವೃತ್ತಿ ಜೀವನಕ್ಕೆ ಬೇಕಾಗಿರುವಂತಹ ಒಂದು ಸಂಹಿತೆ ಇದ್ದಾಗೆ. ಇದು ಏನನ್ನ ಹೇಳುತ್ತೆ? It is a system of conduct to guide the practice of a specific discipline. What is a specific discipline? I am a person belonging to the sociology department. Now, sociology is the discipline that I'm going to teach. And what is the conduct of the guide and the practice to deal with sociology, dealing with economics, dealing with physics, dealing with chemistry. As a whole, we become undergraduate institutions. Therefore, for the undergraduate institution, there is a guide and a practice. Are we following it? Have we defined it in our institution? Therefore, professional ethics says an applied ethics. What is applied ethics? ನಾವು ಕೂಡ ಕಾಲೇಜುಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ಪಾಠ ಮಾಡುವಾಗ ವಿದ್ಯಾರ್ಥಿಗಳಿಗೆ ಹೇಳ್ತೇವೆ ನಮ್ಮ ಹ್ಯಾಂಡ್ ರೈಟಿಂಗ್ ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿರಬೇಕು, ನಾವು ಸರಿಯಾಗಿ ಕಮ್ಯುನಿಕೇಟ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು, ಮಾತನಾಡುವಾಗ ಫೇಸ್ ಟು ಫೇಸ್ ಇಂಟರಾಕ್ಷನ್ ಇರಬೇಕು, ಐ ಕಾಂಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಟ್ ಇರಬೇಕು. ಬಹಳ ಸಂತೋಷ. ಆದರೆ ನನ್ನ ಹತ್ರನೇ ಒಬ್ಬ ವಿದ್ಯಾರ್ಥಿ ಬಂದು ಮಾತನಾಡಬೇಕಾದ್ರೆ ನನ್ನ ಕಣ್ಣನ್ನು ನಾನು ಎಲ್ಲೋ ತೇಲಿಸ್ತಿದ್ರೆ ಎಥಿಕ್ಸ್ ಇಸ್ ನಾಟ್ ಅಪ್ಲೈಡ್. ಅಪ್ಲೈಡ್ ಎಥಿಕ್ಸ್ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ನನ್ನ ಜೀವಿತದಲ್ಲಿ ನಾನು ಅದನ್ನ ತೋರಿಸಿಕೊಂಡು ಹೋಗ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥದ್ದು. ಇದಕ್ಕೆ ನಿಮ್ಮ ಹಿರಿಯರು, ನಿಮ್ಮ ಕಾಲೇಜಿನಲ್ಲಿ ಸೇವೆ ಸಲ್ಲಿಸಿದ ಅನೇಕ ಪ್ರಾಧ್ಯಾಪಕರು ಉದಾಹರಣೆ ಇದ್ದೀರಿ. ಈ ವೆಬಿನಾರ್ನಲ್ಲಿ ಭಾಗವಹಿಸ್ತಾ ಇರತಕ್ಕಂತಹ ಅನೇಕ ಉಪಾಧ್ಯಾಯರು ಕೂಡ ಖಂಡಿತವಾಗಿ ಯು ವಿಲ್ ಬಿ ಲಿವಿಂಗ್ ಆಸ್ ಎಕ್ಸಾಂಪ್ಲರ್ಸ್. ಅಂಡ್ ವಾಟ್ ಯು ಸೇ, ಇಫ್ ಯು ಹ್ಯಾಪನ್ ಟು ಡೂ ಇಟ್, ದೆನ್ ಇಟ್ ಬಿಕಮ್ಸ್ ಅಪ್ಲೈಡ್ ಎಥಿಕ್ಸ್. ಇದನ್ನು DVG ಅವರು ತುಂಬಾ ಸುಲಭವಾಗಿ ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ, ತಿದ್ದಿಕೊಳ್ಳೋ ನಿನ್ನ ನೀಂ ಜಗವ ತಿದ್ದುವುದಿರಲಿ. ಇದಕ್ಕಿಂತ ಹೆಚ್ಚಿನದವರು ಏನು ಹೇಳೋದಿಲ್ಲ. ನಾನು ಇವತ್ತು ಯಾಕೋ ಸರಿಯಾಗಿ ಪಾಠ ಮಾಡಲಿಲ್ಲ. ಯಾಕೆ ಮಾಡಲಿಲ್ಲ? ನನಗೆ ನಾನೇ ಒಂದು ಪ್ರಶ್ನೆ ಹಾಕೋಬೇಕು. ಇವತ್ತು ಸ್ಟೂಡೆಂಟ್ಸು ನಾನು ಕ್ಲಾಸಲ್ಲಿ ಪಾಠ ಮಾಡುವಾಗ ಯಾಕೋ ಅನ್ರೆಸ್ಟ್ ಇದ್ರು. ಯಾಕೆ ಅನ್ರೆಸ್ಟ್ ಆದ್ರು ಅವರು? ಆಮ್ ಐ ರೆಸ್ಪಾನ್ಸಿಬಲ್ ಫಾರ್ ಇಟ್? ಆರ್ ದೇರ್ ಅದರ್ ಫ್ಯಾಕ್ಟರ್ಸ್, ಎಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ರೇನಿಯಸ್ ಫ್ಯಾಕ್ಟರ್ಸ್, intervening variables? Were they reasons for it? For if the reasons are outside your component, then think of finding a solution by putting all thoughts together from all of you. In what way can we make it to happen a better one? Supposing it is from you. Now from you means how to identify this. ನಾನೊಬ್ಬ ಟೀಚರ್ ಎಜುಕೇಟರು. ನನ್ನ ಜೊತೆಗೆ ಯಾರ್ಯಾರು ವಿದ್ಯಾರ್ಥಿಗಳು ನನ್ನ ಸಂಪರ್ಕಕ್ಕೆ ಬರ್ತಾ ಇದ್ರು, ಯಾರ್ಯಾರು ಟೀಚರ್ಸು ನನ್ನ ಸಂಪರ್ಕಕ್ಕೆ ಇವತ್ತು ಬರ್ತಾರೆ, ಅವರಿಗೆಲ್ಲ ಒಂದು ಬಹಳ ಸಿಂಪಲ್ ಟಿಪ್ಸ್ ಅನ್ನು ನಾನು ಕೊಡ್ತೇನೆ. ಹಿಂದೆ ಎಲ್ಲ ನಮ್ಮ ಪಾಠಗಳನ್ನ ನಾವು ನೋಡ್ಕೊಳ್ಬೇಕು, ನಾವು ಹೇಗ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದೀವಿ ಅಂತ ಗಮನಿಸಬೇಕು ಅನ್ನೋ ಆಸೆ ನಮ್ಗೆಲ್ಲರಿಗೂ ಇದ್ರೂ ಕೂಡ ಅವಾಗ ಅದನ್ನು ನೋಡ್ಕೊಳ್ಳೋಕೆ ನಮ್ಗೆ ಅವಕಾಶ ಇರಲಿಲ್ಲ. ಕಾರಣ ಒಬ್ಬ ಫೋಟೋಗ್ರಫರ್ ಬೇಕಾಗಿತ್ತು. ಅವತ್ತು ಫೋಟೋಗ್ರಫರ್ ವಾಸ್ ಅನ್ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಟರ್ನಲ್ ಪರ್ಸನ್. ಅವನು ನಮ್ಮ ಲೆಸನ್ನ ಶೂಟ್ ಮಾಡಿ ನಾವು ಅದನ್ನು ಕೂತ್ಕೊಂಡು ನೋಡ್ಬೇಕಾಗಿತ್ತು. Indira Gandhi National Open University is to do it in a course called Postgraduate Diploma in Higher Education. ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇತ್ತು ಈ ಕೆಲಸವನ್ನದು. ಇವತ್ತು ನಮ್ಮ ಹತ್ರ ಆಂಡ್ರಾಯ್ಡ್ ಫೋನ್ ಇದೆ, ಸ್ಮಾರ್ಟ್ ಫೋನ್ ಇದೆ. ನಾನೇನ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀನಿ, ನನ್ನ ಮೊಬೈಲನ್ನ ಒಬ್ಬ ಸ್ಟೂಡೆಂಟ್ ಕೈಲಿ ಕೊಡ್ತೇನೆ, ನೀನು ನಂದು ಇವತ್ತು ಪಾಠವನ್ನ ಪರಿಪೂರ್ಣವಾಗಿ ಶೂಟ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಕೊಡಪ್ಪ. It may be 15 minutes or 20 minutes. If it is 15 minutes or 20 minutes, if you happen to take back your own mobile and then see, you will be able to know what kind of actions are you going to do it. What kind of mannerisms do you have? What are the good practices that you have got in your class? What are the bad practices that you have got in your class? You can make an assessment of your own. It is a self-appraisal. That is applied ethics. Similarly, professional and societal expectations that those who are in education should behave and act in an ethical manner. For you see, if something wrong happens in the bank or wrong happens on the road, people are not much worried about it. Supposing something which is an evil happens in an educational institution, whole society will be looking upon that particular institution. But this is the professional ethics. Next. Now, what are the factors on which the professional ethics is influenced? Now, let us take care of all these things in the APS group so that we will be able to make the institution a better one. Now, one after the other, please. Faculty members and the mentors will influence. Faculty members means a senior faculty, a junior faculty. I do not want to use it in terms of the age. There are so many youngsters who are better than the seniors. There are many seniors who need to be followed by the youngsters. For I am not going to say this is right, that is wrong. But the thing is, whatever is the worth of the individual, learn from that particular individual. Internship supervisors, professional code of ethics of the institution, the textbooks that we have got, and the professional materials that we supply to the students, the colleagues, the family and the friends, the religious and the moral influences. Next factors. Governmental policies, rules and regulations of the management, students and the parents. All these factors are going to influence the personal. Personal andre yaro? Nanu. Personnel andre yaro? Navellaru. ಯಾವ ರೀತಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ನಾವು ಇನ್ಫ್ಲೂಯೆನ್ಸ್ ಆಗ್ತೇವೆ. ಇದಕ್ಕೆ ಕಗ್ಗದಲ್ಲಿ ತುಂಬಾ ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿ ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ, ತೃಣಕ್ಕೆ ಹಸಿರೆಲ್ಲಿಯದು, ಅದು ದಿನಪನದೆ, ಕಣ್ಣಿನದೆ, ನೀರಿನದೆ, ಮಣ್ಣಿನದೆ, ನಿನದೆ. Where does the grass get its green color? Is it because of the sun? Is it because of the soil? Is it because of the water? Or is it because of the person who looks at it? All of you know, as elders, the green of the grass is not due to one factor, it is due to several factors. Similarly, our personal ethics is influenced by all these factors. As a colleague, you can have a very great influence. If the colleagues become mediocre, the person who is going to enter the institution will certainly become a mediocre. If all the people are working on the top are professionals, they really fight and work, a youngsters who comes will automatically imbibe that particular thought and he will try to become that individual. Next. Now, the code of ethics, please see here, it starts with the programs and training, then it gets formulated into policies, and these policies will help in making the conduct principles. That means how should we be in a position to behave ourselves. When we have the conduct principles, they turn themselves to be values. I have already told value is something which is having a particular judgment kind of a thing. It is worthness of the individual. For these values will define the vision of the educational institution. And ethics, when should it be? Is it in 2018, 2019, 2020? And is it only when the principal is there and principal is not there? Is it only when my friend is there, my friend is not there? No. Ethics is for everyone. It is every day. It is everywhere. But that is the code of ethics. Next. Next slide. Therefore, in our institution, the code of ethics can be done by keeping the following in mind. It is as previous slide, please. It is a written list of values and standards of conduct of a group. It is a framework for decision making. Normally, they are general statements that are there in the institution. Do not give specific answers to every possible dilemma that might arise. You know, we will not be knowing what will be a new situation that is going to come. For that, it may be an unpreparedness. Therefore, sometimes we are not in a position to respond to it. Then immediate responses, specific answers cannot be provided, but we need to sit and ponder over it. But that is the way in which the code of ethics will be formulated in the institution. Yes. Next one. Now there are several principles. I do not want to explain every principle. I will go a little quicker. Any code of ethics must be beneficent to the student. It should remove a harm that might be caused in the institution. Removal of the harm. More benefits to the students. Non-maleficence It is a use of knowledge, skills, abilities, judgment, help persons while respecting their decisions, protecting them from harm, for not inflicting harm to the student, not inflicting harm to an employee, not inflicting harm to a colleague, becomes the second principles of the code of ethics. Next. It gives autonomy, that is, respect the individual's right of choice. You know, we are familiar with the choice-based credit system. Are we really making it as a choice-based credit system or not? If there are some optionals to the student, have I given a choice to the student to choose the option that he wants? Have I provided a right choice to the student to participate as a volunteer? Have I given a right choice to the student to participate in the co-curricular activities? Have I given a choice for the student to participate in inter-university, a inter-college, or an interstate sports competition, or an academic program? For that is autonomy. Justice, when you say, because it is a part of the preamble of the Constitution, when you deal with the student, you are not supposed to consider the race, creed, orientation, gender, and inclusiveness. It is to be considered if the fairness is not given to them, if the justice is not given to them. I have deliberately avoided a particular race, a particular creed, a particular gender from participation, although they have all the ability to participate in it. For that is justice. 5 and 6. Next. It is fidelity and veracity. Fidelity refers to meeting the commitment. Veracity relates to what is truth must also be followed, and we need to be honest. Deception shall not enter. For that is fidelity and veracity. Next. Now, whenever something is to be done, there should be an informed consent. What do I mean? Services should be based on mutual respect and shared decision making. Now, I remember the way the staff meetings were conducted in my college. Even before the staff meeting was conducted, I used to send the circulars at least 1 week in advance. And I used to say the agenda for the staff meeting are as follows. If you feel that some other point need to be added, you are at liberty to add it. Now consolidated agenda was taken into the class, into the staff room, and when once this consolidated agenda was taken, still there was an option, is there any other information with the permission of the chair? Now during the staff meeting, I used to ask the teachers to give it in a slip of paper, the other matter that they wanted to discuss. At that time, the principal need to have a power of veto. What is a power of veto? Power of rejection. If you feel that one component is not worth discussing in the meeting, then I used to write on it, it is to be discussed separately, not in the meeting, come and meet later. Therefore, mutual respect to be shown for all the staff of the college. Provide information about service, benefits, outcomes, expected activities and limitations for all in the college. It is to the students, it is to the staff, to everybody. Provide information about professionals, training and credentials. What kind of training do you offer to the students other than the Bangalore City curriculum? If it is so, make it very clear in the beginning itself. Provide information so that the student can decide to accept to participate in activities. For you should throw open, say that these are all the hundreds of things that are available in our college. It is informed consent. ನೂರಾರು ಮತವಿಹುದು ಲೋಕದು ಗ್ರಾಣದಲ್ಲಿ ಆರಿಸಿಕೋ ನಿನ್ನ ರುಚಿಗೊಪ್ಪುವ ಮತವದರೊಳ್ ಸಾರದೊಡಗೆಯ ವಿಚಾರದೊಲೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ಮಾಡೆ ಬೇರೆ ಮತ ಮಂಕುತಿಮ್ಮ. ಯಾವ ಹುಡುಗನ ಹತ್ರ ಏನು ಟ್ಯಾಲೆಂಟ್ ಇದೆ, ಯಾರಿಗೆ ಗೊತ್ತಿದೆ? ಯಾವ ಚಿಪ್ನಾಗೆ ಯಾವ ಮುತ್ತೈತೋ ಒಡೆದು ನೋಡಬೇಕು ಒಳಗೆ, ಕೊಚ್ಚೆ ನೀರನ್ನು ಶೋಧಿಸ್ತಂದ್ರೆ ಸಿಕ್ಕೋಕಿಲ್ವಾ ಗಂಗೆ? For we cannot measure the student talent and ability by looking at the face of the student. It is not an indicator. The real talent is inside. ಹುದುಗಿರುವುದು ಅಂತ ಕರೀತೇವೆ. Something which is internal ಅಂತ ಕರೀತೇವೆ. For that, whatever is internal need to be brought out. To do that, informed consent must be given to the students and staff. Next. It is confidentiality and privacy. In every college has to maintain the privacy of the institution, students, the colleagues, the management, rest of the things. There are certain confidential information of the management which shall not be disclosed to the staff. Similarly, there are certain confidentiality between the college and the students that need to be maintained. It can be given only on demand if it is worth to be given. Otherwise, keep it confidential. Then competence to be developed among the students, and what are the different kinds of steps that you have taken to develop the competency of teachers and students. It has to enter into the code of ethics. Next. The compliance with laws and regulation. We cannot say that we are private managed institution. We will do whatever we want. That cannot be done. Therefore, we have to be in compliance with laws and regulations given by the University Grants Commission, the Department of the Collegiate Education, the management, and of course at the national level, the Ministry of Education, Ministry of Human Resource Development, or whatever it is. But this is the code of ethics. Next. Now, when you want to develop the ethical practice in an educational institution, you can follow the following flow chart. You start with an idea, recognize that there is an ethical question. The ethical question may be whether the girl child can be allowed to participate in an activity or not. It can be as simple as that. Or the ethical question can be whether all the students should be present during the assembly session or not. The other ethical question can be whether the student be allowed to enter the class after the first bell or the second bell is rung in the college. These are all the questions. For you can start with one point, then understand all the facts and situations related to it. Maybe the student is coming late to the institution. What are the reasons for he coming late to the institution? Question it. Then test the option you plan to take. What is your action that you are going to take for a student who is a longer absentee, or a student who causes indiscipline all the time in the educational institution in one form or the other? Put all these questions. Then understand the options that are available, understand the consequence of the option. If I happen to take this option, what might happen? One brain may not help it. Two brains put together may emerge a new idea. Then think of an option. Explain that option you have decided on to the student community or to the teachers. I have seen, in the many institutions today, the class 4 employees are a teacher. Sometimes they get absented themselves for a longer period. Now, what is to be done to them? There should be an order, there should be a rule of the institution. Act on the chosen option, reflect on the outcome. Now, once you take the chosen option, what is the result that you have got? Is it plus? Is it minus? Has it worked? Has it not worked? If it works, then reflect on the outcome. If it fails, think of the process once again. For this is the way in which you need to think of an ethical practice. Next. I have already explained this. Next. You can go ahead. Therefore, these are all the things that can be done in the college. Include code of ethics in each staff's volunteers orientation in service training. Document the code of ethics and written plans of operation. Discuss ethical situations in the staff meeting. attend conferences, sessions on ethics. Justice Venkatacharya are the judges of the High Court. They do organize some sort of the programs like this. Whenever it is, voluntarily you must be able to participate and learn more about it. Next. Therefore, there are certain principles of the ethical behavior. Principle one is, it is to serve others, not to serve ourselves. It is not for my self benefit. It is for the benefit of all. Use resources with efficiency and economy. Treat all the people fairly. Use the power of our position for the well-being of our constituents. Create an environment of honesty, openness, and integrity. So this is the principle of ethical behavior. I know it is rather difficult to understand with a 1 hour lecture like this. On each of this, there should be a thinking session. There should be a brainstorming session where a person who knows about these things shall be able to discuss among the staff members, and you need to arrive at your own principles of ethical behavior in the educational institution. Next. Now this, I don't think I need to explain. It is with the self means, as an individual, how do you go about ethics? I don't read. I go to the last point, adhere to responsible pattern of conduct. I just want every one of you to pause for a minute, think ourselves, to what extent are we getting into the pattern of the responsible conduct of the educational institution. It is least said the better. It is a point for your own thinking. Next. Previous slide. Private affairs must be consistent with dignity of profession. I hope you can understand. Work towards contribution of knowledge. As a teacher, participate in extension, co-curricular and extracurricular activities. I have been on several boards at the state and the national level. I am a regular member for selection of the teachers for the Kendriya Vidyalaya. We get wonderful candidates for the selection of Kendriya Vidyalaya and Navodaya Vidyalaya +2 level teachers. One teacher from a part of the country, I do not want to say which part, had come to the interview with a first rank from the university in mathematics. Excellent. Very, very nice demo lesson she gave. Later on, we asked, other than teaching and learning that you are going to carry on in the institution, what other activities will you be able to do in the institution? You know, the teacher, point blank, she told, except teaching, I do nothing else in the institution. Do you think any selection committee will select that candidate? No, we don't select. The next candidate who had come had the desirable qualification, asked him to give a demo, gave a wonderful demo, lesson was good. Then we asked, in what field are you good at? He said, I am good in drama and music. I am a mono actor. I can make mimicry. I can teach the students the following thing. It was the student from the north. I asked, you said you do mimicry. Come on, do some of the mimics. He was able to make the mimic of Dilip Kumar, Amitabh Bachchan, Shatrugna Sinha, and he was able to make a very small drama piece, presented it, and he said, I can train the students in the following field. We wanted such candidate. He was selected. For first rank is gone. ಪದವಿ ನೋಡ್ಕೊಂಡು ದೊಡ್ಡೋನೆನ್ನೋದು ಲೋಕಕ್ಕಂದೋಳ್ ರಾಗ ಇದನ್ ಕಾಣ್ಬೋದು ಎಲ್ಲರೂನೇ ಇಷ್ಟು ನೊಗಳೋದ್ರಾಗ. Mere certificates do not value. Therefore, how are you going to inbuild all these kinds of thoughts into the code of ethics is a challenge. Next. Teachers and students, less said the better. We need to have a good distance with the student. At the same time, we need to be very close to the student. When should I be close? When should I close myself to the student? These are the thoughts that a teacher need to think of it. Encourage the students to improve their attainment, develop their personalities, and help them to contribute for a community welfare. Next. Developing a scientific outlook. Be affectionate to students. Do not become vindictive to them, and deliver whatever you want to deliver to the student, if not in time, at least on time. Next. This, I think most of you are at it. You're all doing it. But this is the code of ethics for the teachers and the colleagues. Treat other members of the profession in the same manner as they themselves wish to be treated. Not it is with, it is wish. W-I-S-H. I wish to be treated in a particular way. What is my wish? He should give me respect. Are you giving respect to him? Are you addressing him with a concern? Or are you keeping him aside? These are all the kind of the things. Refrain from lodging unsubstantiated allegations against colleagues to higher authorities. I think the principal of the institution must also be here. The moment we go and sit on the seat of the principal, we get Mr. A coming and saying about B, B coming and saying about C, C coming and saying about ABD. Under such context, what I used to do was, I used to call all the four together. And I used to tell them, there are certain complaints on each of them. These are all the things. Solve yourself, come back and report. For such kind of a thing need to be done. Do not involve in groupism. Do not involve in a kind of a gossip. Foregoing gossip is anti-ethics. Gossiping results in nothing. It unfortunately creates a kind of a vindication from one to other. For treat the non-teaching staff as friends, colleagues, function in a cohesive manner. Next. I had a little water, nothing else. Now, discharge your professional responsibilities. Get involved to do not keep yourself away from authorities. ಇದು ನಾನು ಕಾಲೇಜಿನಲ್ಲಿ ಒಬ್ಬ ಪ್ರಿನ್ಸಿಪಲ್ ಆಗಿ ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದವನು. ನನಗೆ ಗೊತ್ತು ಹೇಗೆ ಕೆಲವರು ನಮ್ಮನ್ನ ಅವಾಯ್ಡ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ ಅಂತ. ಹಾಗೆ ಅವಾಯ್ಡ್ ಮಾಡಿದಾಗ we cannot do anything. It becomes very tough for us to work. Therefore, whatever the professional responsibilities that are there, get involved, not to keep yourself away from. I know you must be going for third cycle or fourth cycle of NAC. NAC is not the work of the coordinator. It is not the work of the rector or the principal or the management. Actually, it is the work of all the teaching staff and the non-teaching staff. About what is that they have done and what is that they need to do. They should be in a position to give a report of themselves. If every department gives a very correct report of the activities that are being done in a span of 5 years, year-wise, consolidated with the documents, the work of the coordinator becomes substantially easy. But if it is not done, then we are not professionally responsible. But that is what is teachers and authorities. Cooperate in the formulation of the policies, refrain from availing leave except on unavoidable grounds. Although my mind says, take a day's leave, ask a question to yourself, is it really necessary for me to take the leave? No doubt taking a casual leave is a right, but keep the duty in mind and then say whether it could be done or not. But I do not want to explain much about it. Next. Teachers and parents and guardians, understand them with reference to their background. Do not underestimate them. ಇವತ್ತು ಸೋಷಿಯೋ ಎಕನಾಮಿಕ್ ಸರ್ವೆ, ಸೋಷಿಯೋ ಇಂಟೆಲಿಜೆನ್ಸ್ ಸರ್ವೆ ಎಲ್ಲ ನೋಡಿದಾಗ ನಮಗೆ ಗೊತ್ತಾಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆ, it is not that the people coming from the affluent families will be having the wisdom and intelligence with them. It is from anybody. For just because that a parent is a daily business worker, or just because that he is a tailor, a conductor, a driver, he cannot be underestimated. For look at the background of the student. Treat them respectfully with dignity. They are one of the stakeholders. When the parents come, accept them with lot of respect. And then they should feel that they feel like coming back to the institution. But this is the way in which it is to be done. But I think I'm coming to the end of it. There are one or two more slides. Slides, please. Okay, teachers and society. Now the last point. Now this you can also skip because many of them will know about it. Next slide. Next slide, please. Now quality is not expensive, it is priceless. Go back to the previous one. Quality is not expensive, it is priceless. For ethics, always leads to quality. Because what is quality? Quality comes only because of right things that are being done. If you do a wrong thing, the quality will get lost, the quantity may increase. But mere quantity is of no use. Next slide. Quality means doing it right when no one is looking. This is the most beautiful thing it is. A physical education teacher shall not make the students to come in, fall in line with a distance, only when some authorities come and see him. The students, when once they are put into a mass PT, physical training, the distance need to be maintained, the line need to be maintained, such that all the time it is being done right. I go to the class as a teacher, I teach it because I have to teach it. ಇರುವ ಕೆಲಸವ ಮಾಡು ಕಿರಿದನದೆ ಮನವಿಟ್ಟು ದೊರೆತುದ ಹಸಾದ ಎಂದೊನ್ನು ಗೊಡಗೊಡದೆ ಧರಿಸು ಲೋಕದ ಭರವ ಪರಮಾರ್ಥವನ್ನು ಬಿಡದೆ ಹೊರಡು ಕರೆ ಬರಲ್ ಅಳದೆ ಮಂಕುತಿಮ್ಮ. ಸಂಸ್ಕೃತದಲ್ಲಿ ಒಂದು ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ, ಉದ್ಯೋಗಿನಂ ಪುರುಷ ಸಿಂಹಂ ಉಪೈತಿ ಲಕ್ಷ್ಮಿ ದೈವಂ ಹಿ ದೈವಮಿತಿ ಕಾ ಪುರುಷ ವದಂತಿ ದೈವಂ ನಿಹತ್ಯ ಕುರು ಪೌರುಷ ಆತ್ಮಶಕ್ಯ ಯತ್ನೇ ಕೃತೆ ಯದಿ ನ ಸಿದ್ಧತೆ ಕೋತ್ರ ದೋಷಃ. ನಾವೆಲ್ಲನೂ ಒಳ್ಳೆ ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾಡಿರ್ತೀವಿ, ಕೆಲವು ಸರಿ ನಮಗೆ ಬೇಕಾದ ಫಲ ಕೆಲವೊಮ್ಮೆ ಸಿಕ್ಕುವುದಿಲ್ಲ. ಅಂಥ ಟೈಮ್ನಲ್ಲಿ ಯಾರನ್ನೂ ಬೈದುಕೊಳ್ಳುವ ಪ್ರಸಂಗ ಬರುವುದಿಲ್ಲ. ನಾನು ನನ್ನ ಕೆಲಸವನ್ನ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದೇನೆ ಅನ್ನುವ ನಂಬಿಕೆ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. ಅದನ್ನೇ ರೈಟ್ ಡೂಯಿಂಗ್ ರೈಟ್ ಥಿಂಗ್ಸ್ ಇನ್ ಎ ರೈಟ್ ವೇ. ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ಒನ್. For this is the dilemma in which all of us are going to lead our life. Not that it is at the end of the life, not that it is in the middle age. It is every day, every time, every moment. For this is how we go for the question of the code of ethics, its significance in the educational institution. I hope that the sharing of the knowledge has been of some use to all of you. You can keep the slides with you, you can ponder it over, and then develop a kind of a code of ethics for the staff who work in the office, code of ethics for the faculty members, code of ethics for each department, and code of ethics on the whole, which will be able to help you to draw a vision of the APS institutions. Once again, I thank everybody for having given me this opportunity to share the knowledge. Any question, any queries, you can certainly pose it either on the chat box or you can directly ask me. But I will be very, very humble to say I may not be in a position to answer all your questions, but I will certainly put the question back to you as a question if I don't find an answer to it. For this is what Abdul Kalam says, and under his statement that he has given for the teachers, says that I have no answers to all questions. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Your presentation was really educative, elaborative, thought-provocative, and a mode of inspiration to be considered by every educationist. Your thought of having a specific discipline to the right things to do in right way is really appreciable, sir. It gives me an immense pleasure to have you as speaker to our webinar. Now, dear participants, I request that you can ask your queries in the chat box. Sunil sir, ಏನಾದ್ರು queries ಬರ್ತಿದ್ಯಾ? Sunil sir?
Sir, no questions, please.
No question. Okay. Thank you, sir. Now, I request Dr. B. Jayashree, Principal, APS Arts and Science College, to summon her presidential address.
Can I make a point of view before the presidential address?
Please, sir, please.
In such webinars, having spent so much of time and energy, if the question is not asked by any of the participant,
Sir.
It is of absolutely no use. At least one question from anyone. Otherwise, I am not going to leave this webinar.
Sir, you said about, I had a doubt, sir, but it was so elaborative, I couldn't able to ask you. You said about specific discipline, sir. Could you be more elaborative on that, sir? The specific discipline by an educationist.
Specific discipline, when I speak of it, discipline is a domain of knowledge. If I happen to treat sociology as a subject, it will never become a discipline in my life. Philosophy as a subject, if I happen to simply say, logic is this, logic is not that, it will not become discipline. It will become a discipline only when I take it in terms of the knowledge domain, the comprehension domain, the analytical domain, the creative domain, and then the evaluation. That means I myself must be able to put hundreds of questions before I teach one concept. Think of social stratification. If a teacher simply goes and gives a definition of what is social stratification, without knowing that there is a stratified society in his own class, what is the meaning of teaching stratification to the students?
So what you're saying is practical applicability has to be there.
You have
when you're,
any concept that you teach, it may be physics, gravitation is there. What does the gravitation do? Irrespective of the mass, gravitation pulls every object down. Beautiful. Nanu Sirivantano, Badavano, Kuli Karmikano, COVID patient, heart attack patient, ಎಲ್ಲರನ್ನು ಕೂಡ ಭೂಮಿ ಒಟ್ಟಿಗೆ ಸ್ವೀಕಾರ ಮಾಡುತ್ತೆ. ಯಾರನ್ನ ಬಿಡುತ್ತೆ? ನಾನು ರಾಜನಾಗಿದ್ದೇನೆ, ನಾನು ಮಹಡಿಯಿಂದ ಕೆಳಗೆ ಬೀಳುವುದಿಲ್ಲ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಅರ್ಥ ಏನು? ರಾಜನಾದವನು ಕೆಳಗೆ ಬೀಳ್ತಾನೆ, ಬಡವನಾದವನು ಕೆಳಗಡೆ ಬೀಳ್ತಾನೆ. ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಒಂದು ಕಾನ್ಸೆಪ್ಟ್ ಅನ್ನ ನಾವು ಪಾಠ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇರ್ಬೇಕಾದ್ರೆ ಅದ್ರೊಳಗಡೆ ಏನು ಒಳಹರಿವು ಅಂತ ಹುಡುಕ್ಬೇಕು. ಪುಸ್ತಕದಿ ದೊರೆತರಿವು ಮಸ್ತಕದಿ ತಳೆದ ಮಣಿ, ವಸ್ತು ಸಾಕ್ಷಾತ್ಕಾರ ಅಂತರೀಕ್ಷಣೆಯಿಂದ ಶಾಸ್ತ್ರಿತನದಿಂದಲ್ಲ ಮಂಕೋತಿಮ್ಮ. Just because that I'm a PhD scholar, it does not mean that you know everything. PhD scholar knows the subject in the field of research that he has done. What is the other thing that is there? Kalitudu, ಕೈಯಗಲ, ಕಲಿಯದುದು, ಕಡಲಗಲ. ಕ್ಲಾಸಿಗೆ ಹೋಗೋದಕ್ಕೆ ಮುಂಚೆ ನಾನು 1000 ಪ್ರಶ್ನೆಗಳನ್ನು ಹಾಕೋಬೇಕು. ಈ ಪ್ರಶ್ನೆಗಳ ಒಳಗಡೆನೆ ನಾನು ಕ್ಲಾಸ್ ಒಳಗಡೆ ಎಂಟರ್ ಆಗ್ಬೇಕು. ನಾನು ಒಂದು ಪ್ರಶ್ನೆ ತಗೊಂಡು ಇದು 1 ಅಂಕಿಯ ಪ್ರಶ್ನೆ, ಇದಕ್ಕಿಷ್ಟು ಉತ್ತರ ಬರೆದ್ರೆ ಸಾಕು. ಇದು 2 ಅಂಕಿಯ ಪ್ರಶ್ನೆ, ಇದಕ್ಕಿಷ್ಟು ಉತ್ತರ ಬರೆದ್ರೆ ಆಯ್ತು. ಇದಕ್ಕೆ ನಾನು ಕ್ಲಾಸಿಗೆ ಹೋಗಿ ಪಾಠ ಯಾಕೆ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು? ಗೂಗಲ್ ಇನ್ಫಾರ್ಮೇಶನ್ ಕೊಡುತ್ತೆ ನನಗೆ, ವಿಕಿಪೀಡಿಯಾ ಇನ್ಫಾರ್ಮೇಶನ್ ಕೊಡುತ್ತೆ ನನಗೆ. ನಮ್ಗೆಲ್ಲರಿಗಿಂತ ಸೂಪರ್ ಟೀಚರ್ಸ್ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ. ಇವರುಗಳು ಗೈಡ್ಗಳು, ಮಾರ್ಕೆಟ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಇರೋರು ಸೂಪರ್ ಟೀಚರ್ಸ್. ಏನಕ್ಕೆ ಬೇಕಾದ್ರೂ ಇನ್ಫಾರ್ಮೇಶನ್ ಕೊಡ್ತಾರೆ ಅವರು. ಹಾಗಾದ್ರೆ ಕಾಲೇಜು ಮತ್ತೆ ಸ್ಕೂಲು, ಯೂನಿವರ್ಸಿಟಿ ಅನ್ನೋದು ಯಾತಕ್ಕಿರಬೇಕು? ಇದಿರುವುದು ಸ್ಟೂಡೆಂಟ್ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಬರುವ ಅನೇಕ ಪ್ರಶ್ನೆಗಳು ಯಾವುದು ಪುಸ್ತಕದಲ್ಲಿರೋದಿಲ್ವೋ ಆ ಪ್ರಶ್ನೆಗಳಿಗೆ ಉತ್ತರ ಹೇಳುವುದಕ್ಕೆ ಮೇಷ್ಟ್ರು ಇರೋದು.
So you say that modification of behavior through experience.
It has
We have to give them it has to be given like a micro experience has to be given apart from the classroom teaching.
ನಾವು ಪಾಠ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಆಟೋಮೆಟಿಕ್ ಆಗಿ ಬರುತ್ತೆ ಇದು.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
That is the code of ethics. That is the ethics.
Yes.
Right. Thank
It
you.
was well answered, sir. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you. Now, may I request Dr. Jayashree B, Principal, APS Arts and Science College, to summon her presidential address. Sunil sir, idara madam?
1 minute, sir. Madam,
ಬೇಗ ರಿಯಾಕ್ಟ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ ಸ್ಕಿನ್.
sir, Tilak sir, please.
Sir, ಹೇಳಿ ಮಾತಾಡ್ತಾ ಮೇಡಮ್.
Okay.
Now I request you, madam, to summon your presidential address, madam.
Okay. Respected resource person for today's webinar, Dr. H.S. Ganesh Bhatt, my dear colleagues and fellow participants from various colleges and universities. Relativity applies to physics and not to ethics by Einstein. Today, Dr. Ganesh Bhatt sir has delivered a wonderful lecture on professional ethics and values. Sir has given valuable information on various universal principles like faith, honesty, loyalty, gratitude, and gender equity, respect for each other, accountability.
Sir, Tilak sir, please conclude it, sir.
Okay. Now we are at the concluding part of the webinar. I would like to thank today's speaker, a renowned educationist, motivational speaker, and inspirer, I would like to say, to the whole teaching fraternity, Dr. H.S. Ganesh Bhatta sir, who gave us a marvelous thought of having highly motivated professional ethics for the upliftment of the profession. On behalf of APS Educational Trust and APS Arts and Science College, I thank him with all the gratitude. On behalf of all, I truthfully convey my regards to all the APS Educational Trust members for their extended help and support in organizing this webinar. I submit a sincere and thankful gesture to intelligent, always supportive, and a forethought mind, Dr. Jayashree B, Principal, APS Arts and Science College, for her encouragement, guidance in organizing this informative and well-educated webinar. I convey my regards to the lady who is silent by nature, soft-spoken, a mastermind behind this webinar, and also our beloved IPSC coordinator, Professor N. Sarvamangala Madam, for her and her team for organizing and successfully completing this webinar. I thank all the participants of Karnataka, outside Karnataka, and also the international participants of this webinar. I also take this opportunity to thank the technical team, especially Sunil sir, Lokesh sir, and Shekhar sir, of this webinar for making this a remarkable work. Thank you, everyone. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you. Thank you,
Thank you, madam. Thank you, madam.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you.